UFC on ESPN 5, Covington versus Lawler goes down this weekend, this Saturday in Newark, New Jersey, and you're going to be in the States, Sean.
Yes,
so you'll be able to watch at a decent time, unlike us folk over here in Ireland. But as I said, it is headlined by Colby Covington versus Robbie Lawler. We're going to start at the main event, going to give our predictions, break down the fight, and then we're going to go down the full main card and give our predictions for those. And then at the end, we'll pick out an under-the-radar fight, a fight that we might like from the prelim card. But the prelims aren't stacked, but there might be a couple in there we'll talk about. So start at the Colby Covington Robbie Lawler fight. I kind of ask you this question a lot, and it's like, because of this new ESPN era, you know, it's a big network in the US. So is this a worthy main event for this card?
Yeah, I think it is.
Me too.
Obviously,
I think so too.
Pretty much every MMA fan knows Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
I think most people now know Colby Covington. Like him or hate him, people know him.
Maybe not for his fighting.
Yeah, people know him though. Obviously, he's met Donald Trump. That must have been some crack, that.
Yeah.
Two idiots in a room.
Jeez, getting political here.
No, we're going to leave the politics there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this fight. Colby's been kind of thrown under the bus a little bit here by the UFC, as in he's taken a quite not mad short notice, but what, 5-6 weeks was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tough fight to take on short notice, especially when you have a title shot basically lined up. Dana has said if he wins, he's probably next in line. You'd like to think then that they're going to do Leon and Jorge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worthy of an ESPN main event.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's a really good fight. It really holds up the whole card, I think. I think this is like clearly head and shoulders better than every fight in this card probably combined. And I do think you're right that a lot of people know who obviously Robbie Lawler is, and he's an excellent fighter. And I think a lot of people know Robbie Lawler for his fighting.
Yeah. Like,
he doesn't really have the biggest, most colourful personality. No. And on the flip side, Covington, I think, is a really good fighter. I think a lot of people underestimate him, but I think most people know him for his antics outside the octagon, for his trash talking and
turning up at MGM with a belt that he doesn't have anymore.
Yeah. So like all that kind of stuff. But I think he's underrated because of that. So I think it's a very worthy fight. So there's a few things about this fight that I find interesting, and I want to talk about a few things that I've heard people talk about. First thing is that these two used to train with each other. ATT. And Colby Covington kind of talked about their training a little bit, like hinted at it. But here's something that somebody said, and I want to get your thoughts on it, is that they feel that Colby Covington taking this fight on short notice when he basically has a title fight, or we assume he has a title fight ready to go, means that he feels that when they were in the training room, he must have had a good time against Robbie Lawler. He must have either dominated or feels like he could dominate. Do you read anything into that, especially because, you know, they haven't trained together in quite a while?
Yeah, it's a hard one to read into too much, but I definitely think it's worth noting,
exploring.
Because obviously Colby would have been a lot younger. It doesn't have his age there.
No.
Obviously Colby would have been a lot younger at the time.
Yeah.
We know what Robbie's ceiling is now. Colby would have known at the time where Robbie's ceiling is. Colby obviously feels he's above Robbie's level now. So yeah, I think that probably came into his mind when he took the fight on short notice. Yeah,
like it's hard to tell, isn't it? Because like, you're not being a fighter, it's hard to tell whether something like that would come into your consciousness, or whether it's just, you know, this is another guy.
Yeah,
that's a long time ago. I've improved. He's improved. Like, it's kind of hard to tell whether that says anything. But I definitely think it's a good point. You know,
it's definitely worth noting
for sure,
because ATT is such a big gym, and they would have sparred.
But the other thing, the other flip side on that is that sparring doesn't tell you everything.
100%.
And especially for certain guys who, like, they're excellent in the gym, but they really perform on the night.
Yeah.
And like when you're sparring, like, I haven't done a whole lot of sparring myself, but you know, when you're grappling, even like when I've done quite a decent amount of grappling, and when you're doing that versus when you're doing it in competition, there's a different level of intensity, especially with Robbie Lawler, whose style isn't really to finesse you. Like when you're in the gym and you're working on certain things, I'm sure you're not trying to like kill your
injure someone.
Exactly. But when you're in the octagon and Robbie Lawler's in the octagon, he's trying to take your head off, so there's a different level of intensity. So, you know, kind of goes both ways as well. Yeah,
there is people as well. If you listen to some of the stories coming out of the likes of AKA and some of the sparring stories coming out of there, whereas in they go hell for leather every day. Whereas Robbie and other guys seem like guys who they just get an eye of the tiger when they step into the cage, and it's like that's what they live for. So yeah, I think that it's worth noting. Yeah,
Colby Covington hasn't fought since basically a year.
Yeah, and I think possibly, very possibly. I'd imagine he's probably been training. Yeah. Let's be real.
Yeah.
It's not like he's been sitting on his arse.
Yeah.
Running around with a belt.
Well, this is
yeah. I think it is interesting. Like you say, a lot of people know who Colby is because he's been out of the cage for a year now. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's probably his longest layoff.
Yeah, I think it might be. But yeah, he's on a good win streak. He has some good wins in there. I don't think any would be at quite a level of Robbie Lawler. Like Dos Anjos is a great win, but I think we've seen with Dos Anjos that he has been declining. But I also think right now we know that Robbie Lawler's been declining a little bit.
Coming off a loss as well.
Yeah, Robbie Lawler has lost to Ben Askren, which was a bit controversial, and I thought he looked good early on. Like the whole fight was early on, to be fair. But then as well with Dos Anjos put a bit of a pace on him that I think Colby Covington could match. Like I think the type of fight that Dos Anjos fought could be a similar fight for Colby Covington.
Yeah, Robbie's kind of at the stage now where he's just kind of a yardstick for guys, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Colby's obviously taking this fight at short notice. It's not that he's necessarily a yardstick for Colby. It's like they needed someone to fill it. They fucked Colby in. He's not flavour of the month at the UFC. But Robbie's a tough fight for anyone. Even if he is declining, he's a tough fight for anyone. He gave Ben a tough fight. For me, the loss wasn't controversial because I think the stoppage was fine. But he gave Ben a damn tough fight.
It's also a game of inches. Like if he could have landed one more elbow, he probably would have finished it. And we're talking about a completely different thing. Yeah. Like maybe he would have got the rub that it seems like Askren's getting right now. You know.
The thing is as well, if he lands that one more elbow and the fight's finished and he beats Ben, and then he comes and beats Colby, you're probably talking about Robbie for a title shot.
Has to be, yeah.
Well, I think we said a few weeks ago, like, if Robbie beats Colby, he's not getting a title shot, realistically.
I don't think so. He is a big name, so it wouldn't surprise me too much. But yeah, I don't think so. But like, we were talking about this, not yourself, because like obviously, yeah. But back in the day when Robbie Lawler was fighting in Strikeforce, we were talking about the exact same thing with Robbie Lawler. He seemed like he was maybe a little bit past his prime, even though he was still young at the time, but he was taking losses to guys he probably shouldn't have been losing to. So like Robbie Lawler has shown in the past that he can come back from this. Now that was 2012. Jesus. And he went on a serious run. He got back to the UFC and went on a serious run, became champion, and I don't think anybody expected that. So I'm not putting it past Robbie to be able to turn this around like he has before, but I do think Colby Covington is very underrated. He puts the pace on guys that they can't handle. Robbie Lawler in the past has shown some vulnerability to that kind of style, but he's also shown that he has great takedown defense against most guys. But I just think the difference with Colby Covington is that he changes takedowns together very, very well, and he's aggressive with them, and he'll keep looking for them. And I just think that he'll be able to put a pace on Robbie Lawler that Robbie Lawler is not going to be able to handle. And yeah, I think it's probably going to be a decision or maybe a choke at some point in the mid-fight. But I switched my pick on this one. I was thinking Robbie Lawler because I just felt like Robbie Lawler would be able to catch him, and I still think he's a great fighter. But the more I think about it, I just think Colby Covington is a really tough matchup for him.
Yeah. You're saying you switched your pick. Where does Robbie win this fight if he's to win it? Just catch him? I think if you look back, I just not even catch him. Like I think if you look back at what Robbie Lawler does well when he fights well, his takedown defense is usually on point. But that only kind of keeps up to a level. If a guy puts a serious pace on him, like the first Johnny Hendricks fight, I think it can be trouble for him. But against other guys where he could stop the takedown and land those big shots and those big combinations that he does well. So I still think that can happen. I just think Covington doesn't get hit too much. He has been hit, but he doesn't get hit too much. And I feel like he's going to be able to get some takedowns and win. But yeah, I'm not counting Lawler out at all. Yeah, same for me. I've watched quite a bit of Robbie. He's one of the guys I started watching. Loves a brawl.
Yeah, he loves it.
I struggle to see this one ending up in a brawl, and I think that's where Robbie needs to take it. If he can take Colby into a dogfight, I think that's where I could see him winning it. But yeah, Colby for me. Unless the ring rust is real, that'll be interesting. If the ring rust is real, then Robbie has a chance, a big chance.
And that knockout power is for real.
Yeah, exactly.
It is for real.
So yeah, Colby at 4-9 doesn't do a whole pile for me, and Robbie at 13-8 again doesn't do a whole pile for me. So yeah, I'd probably be staying away from this one from a betting perspective. But yeah,
the Tapology predictions look quite on what the odds are. It's 58% for Colby Covington and 42% for Robbie Lawler.
Pretty much almost exactly on the odds.
Yeah, pretty much. The co-main event, Clay Guida against Jim Miller. Two guys who I need to check if they've fought before. I don't think they
it
have.
Just seems like a
but
fight that's happened.
It seems like they should have fought before. But yeah, two legends, both coming off wins in their last fight. But I do think that Jim Miller has looked a bit better recently, and also Clay Guida is coming off a win against BJ Penn. Yeah, which I don't think says a whole lot.
No, I wouldn't beat BJ Penn now, but you're probably looking at some of those Dana White looking for a fight guys that beat BJ Penn at the minute. Yeah. Unfortunately,
they never fought each other. Well, it feels like they should have fought each other.
I like this style of matchup, as in it's two legends sort of going against each other, and it's not like you're putting Jim Miller in against a fucking young up and coming guy who's gonna potentially run through him, and you're just giving him a name. But yeah, I like this style of matchup for the older guys in the UFC who aren't going to make a run at a title but are still probably good enough to be in the UFC. Yeah. So yeah, I like this style of matchup.
Yeah. I was very impressed with Jim Miller recently, and I'm ashamed to say I don't know if it was his last fight or it was the Alex White one, but I know he was having trouble with something. I'll find what it is, some kind of disease, and he basically got rid of it. And he looked really, really impressive, and he looked strong. He looked really strong, stronger than he's looked in a long time. And he's been fighting, as you said, like putting guys like Jim Miller or Clay Guida against these up and coming fighters probably isn't the best thing, but he's fought a few and he's beat them. Jim Miller. And with Clay Guida, like, I didn't think he looked that impressive against BJ Penn. I thought BJ Penn actually put on a pretty decent performance, all things considered, against Clay Guida, and I thought, he landed some good shots. But I think here Jim Miller, for me, like, even when these two guys were in their prime, I would have picked Jim Miller, and I still think Jim Miller right now.
Look at those records, man. They're on screen for everyone to see. 29-13, 34-15. Yeah. Fucking hell, they're in a long time, aren't they?
Yeah. What's your pick?
Jim Miller probably, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has, like you say, he has looked good against legit guys recently. But he's quite short for my liking. He's 8-15 in the betting, and Clay is 11-8. Maybe a bit of value in that, but yeah, as you say, he hasn't looked wonderful in his last few fights. Both guys coming towards the end.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people are on Miller here. 76% gone for Miller, 24% gone for Clay Guida.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
And Jim Miller, he had Lyme disease. That's what it was.
That was it. I remember that now.
Yeah.
How did Jim get it done? Do you want to pick a method?
I think it's the decision.
Yeah, I think
there's been a lot of decisions lately in these cards.
Yeah. I think honestly, it's a poor co-main event. I do like the style of matchup, and I think it's a solid fight for a card like this. But as a co-main event,
I like that as a pay-per-view opener.
I was actually just thinking that as well. I was like, that's not bad.
Pay-per-view opener. Yeah, I like it. Joaquim or Joaquim Silva. I'm not sure which way he says it.
Joaquim.
I'd say Joaquim, but Brazilians, they do
Joaquim's a lot more fun to say.
Yeah, and Nasrat Hasparat, another tough name, and I think I nailed both of them, to be honest.
Best of luck, Bruce.
Yeah. Bruce fucked up last week. I don't know if you noticed that he fucked up one of the events. But yeah, this is a fun fight as well, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I have a pick in mind straight away. Silva's a pretty good fighter. He's had some success in the UFC so far. He was on the Ultimate Fighter finale anyway. I'm not sure if he was on that season, but the guys he's beat haven't been of the highest standard, and I think you can say the same thing about Nasrat, but I think Theobald Gulti and Mark Diakese are good wins. But I just think that Nasrat is one of the better strikers in this division. I think his hands are excellent, really excellent. Looks like Kelvin Gastelum and fights a little bit like him. Like, not just the hair, not just the beard.
He looks like Kelvin's little brother.
Look at the body. He has the same body and all.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? We're talking about Nasrat here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have Nasrat every day. I have Nasrat here all day. I could be wrong, but I'm just very, very impressed with what he's done in the UFC so far. His hands are quick, similar to Kelvin. Good combinations, throws and combinations like a lot of guys don't, and he has a bit of reach advantage here, which would be handy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Nasrat.
Yeah, to be honest, don't know a whole pile of either fighter. Pretty much what you've said is what I've said. I think Nasrat is the better prospect.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's reflected in the odds as well. He's pretty much the biggest favourite on the card. He's 2-5, yeah, and Joaquim is 7-4.
The Tapology predictions, what do you think?
Going by the odds, I would guess 80% Nasrat.
82%.
Oh,
Great fucking show.
Quick maths.
Yeah, well done. Going down the card, Hannah Goldie against Miranda Granger. This is an interesting fight at 125. It's a division where, you know, it's up and coming. Hannah Goldie, if you go check her out, if you just type in Hannah Goldie, or even get on Tapology if you can there, she is jacked for the division. She is huge. Like, she is really, really big. It's HANNAH. There she is there. We're going to get this on screen because you got to see. Yeah.
Pictures on screen. Jesus.
Yeah, she's absolutely huge for the division.
Queen of Sparta, great nickname.
And she kind of fights the way she looks. Like, you know, like a really, really, like, she's not that short, but like a short, stocky fighter. If you think of that in the men's divisions, she's kind of stiff the way she fights. She's a big puncher. She's really good in the clinch. She has great knees. But she's kind of stiff. On the opposite hand, you have Miranda Granger, who's more flowy. She's longer. I'd say she has a bit of a reach advantage. I don't know if the UFC would have this up on their tab. You've got the UFC tab.
She would fuck me up.
Yeah, she's huge. Ginormous. I doubt you have the reach, do they, for this fight?
I'm trying to even find this. It is on the main event. On main
It's
card.
supposed to be. Well done, UFC. Wrong order. Idiots. We'll try to find it. But yeah, Granger is a there it is there. The
first fight in the prelims, like.
Yeah. Tapology have a different
Battle
spot.
of the no faces.
Oh, the no faces and the no reach. But yeah,
they've no height, like.
Yeah, they have nothing.
Oh, UFC, man.
You think, like, if Tapology can do it, the UFC can do it.
You're a multi-billion-dollar organisation, and you're telling me you can't measure your fucking fighters, like, with a bit of tape, like.
So Miranda is 5'7". Hannah is 5'4", with a 61-inch reach. I don't have Miranda's reach, but I have a feeling she's that very, very rangy by watching her fight, and she fights with that range. Hannah will do well if she can get it into the clinch. I don't think she will. I think Miranda's going to keep it on the outside. She's going to be able to land her jab, keep it out there, and win a decision. But Hannah is one of those girls who, if she lands a big strike, gets it in the clinch, gets it to the floor, she could win by ground and pound. But I've been impressed with what I've seen with Miranda, so I'll go with Miranda by, again, I'm going to go with another decision.
I'd love to give you some odds on this fight, Rob, but there isn't any.
None.
So Tapology are saying this fight's on the main card.
They are.
Okay, so it's not priced up anymore, and it's not on. It's like dead first on the UFC website. Don't know a whole pile about either fighter, to be honest. Miranda saying, we're looking at Miranda, she looks like a tank.
Yeah.
So yeah, we take Miranda.
That was Hannah.
Hannah
was the tank. All right.
Hannah looks like a fucking tank.
Yeah. It's 5-0 versus 6-0 as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, undefeated
fighters. Even
fighters.
the records on the website, like, what the fuck?
66% going for Goldie, which is
4-6.
Which is the jacked girl. I just love that her name is Goldie.
Yeah,
you know, Mike Goldberg.
it's brilliant. Like.
It's great.
24K is the nickname as well. I like that.
Ah, nice. Well done. Darko Stosic against Kennedy. Oh, Jesus. Ninjaku. That's my attempt. I know I got it wrong, but that's what I'm going to go for. Two big punchers here. Stosic, I watched some of his fights on YouTube. He is built
this
like
looks an outrageous mismatch by the
brick
pictures
shithouse.
on the
He's built like a brick shit house. But Kennedy, the African Savage.
This looks like a mental mismatch.
In what way?
Look at the pictures of the two of them.
Yeah. Yeah, one guy looks a lot bigger.
Stosic looks fucking jacked, and Kennedy looks like a 170 pounder.
Yeah, but look at that reach though.
Yeah, no, the reach is mad.
The reach is different.
He's no legs on him though as well, so that's not great.
Kennedy, yeah.
His leg reach is nothing like.
He has no legs.
You're just going to wheel him into the octagon. He's going to fight him.
See, I think this is a really difficult fight to pick because they're like one guy is a little bit less experienced than the other guy, but he fights well at range, whereas Stosic would want to get it in punching range, and there's a big reach disadvantage for him as well. And like, I thought he looked good, Kennedy, in his UFC debut. Apart from the Dana White Contender Series, but his UFC debut against Paul Craig. That was when Paul Craig landed the Hail Mary triangle. Remember? Yeah. That was one of them ones. So
he was winning.
Yeah, I find this one difficult to pick. Stosic has a lot of power. I'm gonna go with Kennedy. I don't know which way. I don't even know what the odds are on like this. I'm gonna go with Kennedy.
Yeah. Again, I don't know how I'd pile with either fighter, so I'm kind of just going off what you're saying.
Yeah.
Kennedy at 6-5 would interest me.
Yeah.
And Darko Stosic at 8-13. Looks a hard bastard, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take Kennedy. Just whatever.
Yeah. So the main card isn't great.
It's grand. Like.
Are the prelims great?
No.
What's your under the radar? You gotta have one.
Yeah, I have one. Evenly matched fight. Mickey Gall and Salim Tuhari. Tuhari. Both 5-6. Mickey Gall, the guy I know because he came up from Dana White's looking for a fight.
Yeah.
Which I for some reason watch on YouTube, even though it's just propaganda for Dana White. Anyway.
Do you know what? I like it.
It's not bad. Like.
It's not bad. I like Matt Serra.
He's funny, yeah.
Yeah, he's funny as fuck. There it is there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a step up for Mickey Gall. So yeah, it's an interesting fight.
Yeah, it's a tough fight for him. Like Mickey Gall, I think is a good prospect, but like we're in the age where prospects are having to really do their early work in the UFC, and that can be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys excel, some guys don't, and it's kind of unfortunate that happens. I'm gonna go with Antonina Shevchenko against Lucy Pudilova.
Yes.
You know, it's Valentina's sister, and she lost her last fight. I'd be interested to see how she comes back from that and lost to Roxanne Modafferi.
Antonina, it's Valentina's sister Shevchenko. That's actually her nickname.
That's exactly how it goes. But yeah, the card isn't great, but let us know what your predictions are in the comments below, because we'd love to hear them, especially for the main event, because the main event was actually.
And also, I know we have quite a few American listeners. I'm going to be in New York for this fight.
Oh yeah.
If anyone wants to comment and let me know a good pub where I can watch this card. Bar. Let me know where I can watch this fight. Or if anyone wants to let me watch it at the Gaff, I'll bring drink. And we'll have a good time.
Gaff's house, yeah.
We'll have a good time.
No creeps.
No. Well, if some woman wants to hit me up, like, you know. But yeah, anyone wants to, like, let me know.
We have like 1% viewership of women.
Let me know in the comments.
Yeah. If you're a woman, comment below. Just let Sean know.
So apparently if you press this button somewhere here, it subscribes and you get all the notifications for the show. So hit that button there.
You have to click the bell though to get the notifications
here.
down the bottom.
Make sure you hit that, and they get the ringer things because Rob didn't know. So it's the button there. There.
It's somewhere roughly around that area